The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Hi, and welcome to Digital Spy's YouTube channel. I'm Gabriella Geisinger, I'm the Deputy Movies Editor, and today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to watch for the very first time myself the Batman teaser. And then we're going to go in and kind of delve in and tell you what we think about it. So be prepared. There might be some funny facial expressions coming. All right, we're going to press play. Okay. Is that tape? I think that's tape. Oh, yeah. Creepy. No more lie. Oh, God. Oh, God, what a gruesome way to go.
I'm your secret friend.
Oh, I know this song. Oh, Nirvana. Oh.
Having a clue.
I mean,
Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
it's a bit silly of him walking around in a giant bat suit with all the police, though, right? Like, or is that just me?
You're becoming quite a celebrity. Why is he writing to you?
It's very intense.
If you are justice, please do not lie.
What is happening? This is very dark.
For your blind
Oh, that's very bright.
The hell are you supposed to be?
They just look like war boys.
I'm vengeance.
Okay. I don't drive, so.
This guy's crazy.
I mean, I love Nirvana, so they've got me already with this. And it is a pretty cool logo, I will say.
You're part of this too.
How am I part of it?
You'll see.
Okay, I mean, yes, that's clever. Hopefully it's 2021 and not like 3051. All right, let's break that down. So, my first thought about this trailer is tonally. I think Matt Reeves has really accomplished something that other adult comic book movies try to do and fail, which is to really get kind of like a serious tone in them. Obviously, Batman is an easier property to do that with because the character is so grounded in reality. He's just a dude. I mean, he's a rich dude, but he's just a dude. Unlike someone like Superman, right, who comes from outer space and is granted all these powers, or even Thor, who's a god, blah, 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 blah. So I think, obviously, if you're going to be serious with any of these properties, Batman is probably the one that lends itself the most to that kind of undertaking. That being said, if you look at something like Todd Phillips' Joker film, that also tries to be dark and gritty, but I think the tone is dictating the content in that one. Whereas this, from what we get from the trailer, it seems like they're letting the story really dictate the tone. Gotham is a grungy, dirty city. It can be bright and colorful and fun, as we've seen in Birds of Prey, which we loved, by the way. But for the most part, when you look at it through Batman's eyes, it's really kind of a place of dirt and despair. It you know, he's formed in kind of the urban grit of that. So that's kind of my first thought. The grunge feeling to it with Nirvana is really quite interesting. I think it's setting up this parallel maybe between Bruce Wayne and a kind of Kurt Cobain-like figure in terms of kind of the reluctant hero. Kurt Cobain famously was he tried really hard to get famous, and then kind of once he was famous, really eschewed that quite a lot. And I think that's a really interesting parallel to draw. So the other thing that I think is quite interesting about it is, you know, it is hard to make superhero movies serious, right? There's a guy in a bat costume in a crime scene surrounded by cops, and they all have to pretend like that's totally normal. So I think, all things considered, they pulled that off well. Obviously, if you're already into Batman, into these kinds of movies, you're gonna make that that leap, that kind of intuitive leap of like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. For anyone who this might be their introduction to Batman, which would be weird if it was, but I guess there must be some people out there. It might take a second to kind of get over the tone is so realistic that there's a little bit of a disconnect there. So it might take a second to kind of get used to that. But from what we get from the teaser, I think it does a pretty good job. The other thing, obviously, is the teasing of the villain, which is Penguin, played by Colin Farrell, I think. That looked like Richard Kind. I know I've seen that tweet going around, and I tried to kind of ignore it in preparation for this video, but like, that's really weird. That does not look like, is that actually Colin Farrell? I assume it is, right? I don't know. I just don't know. Another thing I think is quite interesting is you've got a sort of cult following of badness, which is something I think the Joker movie tried to do. In this one, it feels more like a contemporary crime thriller, which again, I think is part of that tone, right? So they're trying to lean away from other DC kind of superhero movies like Wonder Woman or Aquaman, or the ones that are a little flashier and not silly in a bad way, but more lighthearted and very of their source material, right? They are very clearly comic book movies. This does not, until he kind of shows up in the Bat outfit. It could pass off as any other kind of true crime film or thriller. So I think that'll be really interesting. I'm definitely a Star Wars girl. I really love Star Wars. Of all the DC heroes, my favorite film so far has actually been Birds of Prey. So that being said, this really excites me. I'm actually really into this teaser, which I didn't think I would be, because I respect Robert Pattinson totally. He's proven himself as an actor, but that's not enough of a draw for me personally to kind of throw all my other preconceived notions about what this movie could be out the window to take it seriously. But this teaser's really, I think, proven that when you have someone who takes the material seriously and has a broader understanding of genre, you can really kind of do something very cool. It looks really interesting. I'm really excited for it. So another thing that we all could kind of see coming, but is very interesting nonetheless, is the obsession with the idea of lying. Now, obviously, we've got Riddler, who's the main antagonist of the film, played by Paul Dano, and he obviously is obsessed with riddles, right? Like in the history of the Riddler is always jokes and riddles. Duh. In this, however, there's something a little more, I don't want to say sinister, a kind of meta commentary on what it means to lie and what it means to tell the truth. Now, obviously, we live in a world where the conversation around truth and disinformation and lies and propaganda is a part of our kind of day-to-day, right? We live in a world where deep fakes on YouTube exist and can make Bill Hader into Tom Cruise, right? Mind-blowing stuff. So when you think about the context that this movie is premiering in, or hopefully will be premiering in, that's a really big part of our lives, even if we don't think about it consciously. So for the teaser in particular to lean so heavily on that in a really sinister way could be very interesting in terms of how the film resonates and then how it lasts throughout time. When we look back on it, what do we think about it? So another thing that we get a very quick glimpse of is Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz, and it's very exciting. We've already heard from Matt Reeves that she's going to be a kind of the character's still in her infancy in terms of her development into the kind of thief/hero that we all love. Much like Batman is still in his development stage in terms of becoming the vigilante that we all know of him now. So you only get a quick glimpse at her. You can kind of see her eyes through her little mask that she's wearing. And that being said, we're still really excited because it once again fits within the very realistic tone that Matt Reeves has crafted for this teaser and presumably for the film itself. It really seems like the characters are getting real world motivations, especially when you look at the relationship potentially between Riddler and Batman. And it'll be interesting to see how that holds up across a full-length film, at what point the true crime element of it gives way to the kind of full-blown comic book style. There's already some tension in the teaser. I think there's that little Easter egg where Batman says he is vengeance. And that's not something people say in real life, right? But that's what we love about movies. They heighten things. So hopefully there's enough of that push-pull between the two genres and styles to be interesting without being discordant, without feeling like you're jumping from one to the other. If the teaser is anything to go by, it'll do very well at that. Certainly Robert Pattinson doesn't do a ton of acting in the teaser, but we've seen him in many other roles and he has a lot of range. So if there's anyone who could pull that off, it would probably be him. As well as Jeffrey Wright, obviously, is a phenomenal actor. You've got a great cast. So hopefully that means that this level of seriousness can be carried throughout the film without ever feeling so serious that it becomes silly. So needless to say, we were very excited by this teaser and we'd like to know how you felt about it. Were you really into it? Do you think Robert Pattinson will make a good Batman? What are your thoughts on Colin Farrell's face? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed what you saw, you can always like and subscribe to our channel for more glorious at-home content. But for now, that's it from me and from Hades. See you soon.